So, in the story begins with two boys, one whose name was Ralph and one who was known as Piggy, probably due to his health problems and chubbiness. These boys learn that they're stranded on an island without any adults after a plane crash. And later, after blowing into a conch shell, Ralph and Piggy meet more boys who are also stranded on the island. This conch shell is later used many times to call for meetings among them, and one of the many boys who was discovered was an older boy named Jack and another boy named Simon. Jack was a boy's choir leader, and Simon was one of the members of this choir. So among the boys, they decide that they have to elect a leader, either Jack or Ralph, and although Jack was voted by his fellow choir members, Ralph won the vote, and as the leader, Ralph appoints Jack as the head hunter and the choir boys as the hunters. When exploring the island, the boys came across a pig, but Jack couldn't find it in himself to kill it. After this event in the story, Jack vowed to never again back down, and later he just becomes sort of obsessed with hunting and killing. So on the island, there weren't only older boys, but young kids as well. And during a meeting of theirs, it was mentioned that there's this beast that was seen. However, the older boys knew that it was just a figure of their imagination. But during this meeting, Ralph tried to distract the children of this beast by thinking of possible ways to be rescued. One of these ways were a signal fire that would always be attended to in case someone would be able to rescue them. They started these fires by using the sun and the lenses of the glasses, which belonged to Piggy. In this story, Jack and Ralph were always bickering and were always just sort of in a disagreement of some sort. And in the midst of one of their arguments, Simon wanders off to find this serene and peaceful glade where he would just sit. And Jack and Ralph continue to feel resentment toward each other. And there starts to begin a sort of division between their tribe, like Team Jack and Team Ralph. Eventually, the two boys become so discontent with each other that Jack leaves and he makes his own sort of kingdom, leaving with many of the boys, and they become his sort of personal servants and guards. One day, Simon, who is Team Ralph, goes to his place in the jungle and finds that there's this head of one of Jack's hunted pigs on a spear, and it's like swarming with flies. This Lord of the Flies is said to have talked to Simon, and while heading back from his place from the jungle, Simon finds this parachuter corpse, and he figures out that there really is no beast. It was the parachute. So as Simon goes to tell the boys this news, Simon is attacked and killed by his own fellow people because they thought that he was the beast. So he was killed in sort of a confusion. And after this, Ralph sees that himself and Jack needed to resolve their differences, but once at Jack's Castle Rock, Ralph and his few followers were attacked, and in an attempt to hurt Ralph, Piggy dies. So in the end, Ralph hides after the attack and he's all by himself. But Jack eventually finds him. And as Ralph falls from running away from Jack, he runs into this Navy soldier officer guy. And when they meet, Ralph and the rest of the boys end up crying and weeping. And yeah, they end up going home because the Navy guy saw their signal fire and came to their rescue. So personally, I didn't really care for the book. However, I thought it was quite interesting. The beginning was kind of boring, but the end was kind of sad and unexpected. I think The Lord of the Flies by William Golding is like an allegorical story because it shows how man will create their own sort of culture, but in the end it fails and is unsuccessful. Yeah, bye.